So, sometimes at work, you become close to people when like personal things happen, like far closer than you may have anticipated when you start your career.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah. Plus you're with them for 40 fucking hours plus a week.
Well, sometimes even if you've only been with someone for about 45 minutes.
Oh, overshare.
I am very fair-skinned. And why that matters is that as a child of the 80s, I had some really bad sunburns, Linden Rec softball park in Louisville and otherwise. And so as a result, I have to go to the dermatologist like a couple times a year and all the things. And so back now, this was years ago, back when I was a lawyer in a law firm, so lifetime ago, I'd gone to the dermatologist and they're like, you have a concerning area. We need to remove it. Okay, fine. That area was on a part of the body that no one ever sees. Well, hardly anyone ever sees. That is normally covered by undergarments. And so I had it done. Okay, whatever. And they're like, okay, we're going to do it. Like, we're going to have these stitches. And my dermatologist is like, wins all the, magazine awards, these things. She's like, but you got to get the stitches removed in 10 days or whatever. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, I had just gotten assigned to this big case. And I'm like, I'm going to be in Kansas City all next week. And she's like, well, could have told me that about like 15 minutes ago. But she's like, well, just go to like a Walgreens or whatever. Go there and get them removed. I'm like, okay. And so I'm going. And what I was doing was managing a team of contract attorneys. And so it was like a big class action lawsuit. And so I'd come from Atlanta and so was like working with them. And that would, those things are always a whole nother story. But that morning I was like, it was because it was like the first morning I'd gotten there. And I was like, oh, I need to go. And so I was asking some of them, I was like, do you know where there's like a local like clinic? And this person's like, well, yeah, but they're like, I'll take you. And this other woman's like, we'll take you there. And they're like, what do you need? And I was like, no, nothing, like no big deal. And so these two women drive me and I go there and I'm like, I need to go into like the actual clinic. And I'm sure they're like, what the fuck is what's happening? But I'm like, I don't want to be an overshare or seem weird. So I'm having it done. And the person at the clinic, the PA or whatever, is taking out the stitches, and then he like freaks out and he's like, I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't do it. And he's like, these stitches are too tight. Like, okay, he's like, she did a really good job. Like, I can't get these out. And I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to do here? And so he's like, I don't know. You have to go to a real doctor. And I'm like, what are you? And so I'm like, what the heck? And so anyway, so I come out and these two women immediately, like, I'm like, what am I going to do? So I tell them, I'm like, I need to find a doctor that can get this done. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. My first ever time in Kansas City, Missouri. And so these women are like, we got you. And so they're like, I know this doctor. I mean, they are like going deep. And so 3 attorneys together, like they find it, they drive me over there. Like, I'll give you the epilogue. All was fine. They finally got them out. And the guy was like, their woman, I think was at that point, was the doctor was like, yeah, these were really great stitches. So like kudos to my doctor here in Atlanta. But anyway, I was like crying with laughter because I tried so hard to kind of have this like thing, but really like, I just need these women to help get these things out of me. And I was like panicking, like, what am I possibly going to do? These two women, Terry and Asia, still are my Facebook friends years later. And like through that, like I ended up getting pregnant with my first child when I was working on this. Like it was like the case that would never end. And so we went through like life stages, but it all started with their Uber service to take me to go get some fairly tricky stitches out.
I have too many jokes.
I was trying to be kind of mysterious because I'm like I do work with organizations now. And I'm always like, they're like, we love your podcast. I'm like, oh, good. You've already listened to it. Anyways, those two ladies became, and a number of the others there have still been like ride or die people. Like we went through it, like professionally, personally.
Well, yeah, y'all bonded.
Yeah, we bonded. I bonded. I got unbonded actually during this thing. But so yeah, I appreciate when you find those people that you can like really bear it all with in whatever way. And so just know sometimes people are going to need you, even if you aren't expecting it.
See, I love that. Like just supporting others like that, how they supported you. I mean, because it sucks being somewhere new, first time, you have a thing, you have an emergency, you have a life thing going on, right? And just for people to step up and just not make you feel weird, just make you feel human and loved. I mean, belonged, like feeling that belonging. Like, I love that. That's a feel good.
It was so, like, it was our own community. I'm going to send this to both them. I don't know. Like, I mean, I literally keep like commenting on social media, all the things, and they've each done really kind of like cool things, and like their family members, like you kind of keep up with people like that. And so I loved that experience, especially being in a new city. So it was the sense of community that I didn't realize I'd need.
Like we're all human. We bring our whole selves to work. Shit happens. Support each other. Oh, I love that. Oh.
Whenever I hear people talk about optimizing their nutrition, I think two things. One, optimize might qualify as corporate cringe speak. But two, you should use Factor. Because Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well so easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great, no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives in their vans. I've seen them drive around my neighborhood, and I know they're getting ready to stop. They're fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. There's 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. It's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, which is what I'm about to try for the first time, Protein Plus, or Keto. And they can help you feel your best all day long. There's wholesome smoothies. I love having one of those. Breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/HRBesties50off. That's 50 off. And use code HRBesties50off. Again, that's 50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code HRBesties50off at factormeals.com/HRBesties50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
Work management platforms. Ugh, endless onboarding, IT bottlenecks, admin requests. But what if things were different?
We found love in an open space.
Monday.com is different. No lengthy onboarding. Beautiful reports in minutes. Custom workflows you can build on your own. Easy to use prompt-free AI. Turns out you can love a work management platform. Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use.
Appreciate some of that hot goss. Let's do it. Let's kick this meeting off. Next, we will shift into cringe corporate speak, and Jamie, she's going to take that for us today. And then we'll pivot into our hot topic of this meeting, and it's all about, hey, surprise, your role is changing. Maybe you have some new job tasks. Maybe your manager has added 3 jobs on top of your current job. Maybe you were supposed to be remote employee and now you're not. All the things, right? We get a lot of feedback from listeners. Is this illegal? Can they make me a salaried person clean the toilets today? Like whatever the question is, right? We're gonna turn that topic inside out. And then as always, we're gonna do some questions and comments to close this meeting. Jamie, cringe corporate speak, what do you got for us today?
Yeah, actually, this is a really good one for the opening story. I didn't know what the opening story was going to be, so put a pin in it.
Oh my God. Or make a pin out.
God, that was perfect. I couldn't have picked a better corporate cringe speak. So put a pin in it is, I'm definitely guilty. Oh God, I am guilty of a lot of these. Definitely have said it. I hate it, and I've probably had a visceral reaction when I've said it, but it essentially means, we're going to put a pin in it, meaning we're going to take it off the table. We're going to come back to it. We're going to circle back. I'm trying to think of every corporate cringe that we could possibly think of.
It's a very tiny version of the parking lot. It means exactly the same thing.
This means shut the hell up. It's a placeholder. Just stop, pause, pivot.
Come off, and that idea you've pinned to the wall will flutter away in the wind like Mary Poppins, and you'll never see it again.
Yes.
Probably. I mean, it goes back to this thing when you're like facilitating sessions and someone asks something that's like completely irrelevant, which now I've gotten to be, now my kids are of an age that I've gone to enough things at various schools when you have like parents meetings. And people will ask a very individually specific, very like question and these things. And they'll even kind of like the person leaving will be like, let's put a pin in that. We can talk offline. You circle back all the things. And I'm chuckling in the corporate speak.
Mm-hmm.
And the person kind of keeps going. And it's like, other people might have this question. Like, no, nobody's child else has a fear of chips and you're afraid if someone, brings those with them. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it is corporate and life are all the same. And so I do think I've probably said this like parking lot to kind of be like, let's keep on track. Let's put a pin in it. Sometimes I'll have this notebook and I'll write things down. And then I look at it. I'm like, I couldn't tell you what that says the next day, but very vaguely like fake handwriting, like nodding, like, yes. And so I probably have. Lee, have you?
No, that one's not really in my vernacular. I think I say like, let's take it offline, or this isn't on topic. This feels off topic, or parking lot, or,
Feel like off topic, saying like this feels off topic.
Ouch.
Like I'd probably cry in the bathroom afterwards but it is a level of clarity.
I've worked in some places.
No, that's for sure. We've heard. We know we've heard of.
Yeah, I've worked in some places, conflict for progress.
So it is. I mean, there is a value in saying what everybody else is thinking. Like a lot of corporate speak really is like everyone's thinking it, so just own up to it. It just feels It feels.
Yeah, but I roll it in sugar. I make it cute,
Yeah, you do.
Like I would in that moment, unless I don't like the person. And then that is off topic and we're going to bypass that.
I've definitely been in meetings when someone says this is off topic in a savage way. And let me tell you, nobody's bringing up any bad ideas again or good ideas. No ideas are coming forth because no one will speak ever.
Just scream out, veto!
But it's also always that one guy. There's always that one guy that you always need to put a pin in his shit. I swear, they just love to hear themselves talk.
Say 3 of us on our podcast. But you're listening, so
Well, let's go ahead and put a pin in this. Okay, let's put a pin in this conversation. Oh gosh, should we mosey on over to the hot topic?
Let's put a pin in this topic and move on to our next topic. Of course, we'll come back to this.
We always do.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Great idea. We'll come back to it. Well, this is all things bait and switch. That's kind of what it feels like, right? When all of a sudden you get new job tasks that weren't in your job description, when all of a sudden your job description turns inside out, when, the job arrangement you have maybe gets tossed out the window, who knows, right? There's all sorts of things and circumstances that happen. But basically, surprise, your role is changing. What does that mean for you? Can your role be changed? Is that illegal or not? Should it be? All the questions. Ashley, as our resident attorney here, I'm sure you're chomping at the bit, right? There's a lot here in this topic, right? Has this happened in your workplaces before? Have you seen this?
I absolutely have. And I do think there is a place to thread the needle between, I know the phrase, thread the needles, probably corporate speak. I say that one all the time. So it's not cringe at all. But a lot of people criticize the phrase like other duties as assigned or other duties as needed in a job description. But that being said, the realities of life are like sometimes things are going to come up, sometimes for good. Like you're like, oh, I'd love to do that, but it's not listed in your job description. And a lot of people are like, I don't even have a job description. So realistically, like a lot of places, if you're like, oh, we don't have any, like you're in very common company there. But that phrase, like some people are like, that should never be there. I'm like, well, that's also like, this is what it is forever. Like probably not, whether it's technology or the realities of things. But you also can't over rotate in the other direction, and you can. So like the what I will say is sometimes, especially having worked in advised in pretty much, well, I'm not a licensed lawyer in everywhere in the world, but having worked with local counsel in these areas, it was incredibly eye-opening to me, who spent, the vast majority of my career at the beginning focused on U.S. Employment law and thinking, oh, this is like super complex. And then the rest of the world, in most of the rest of the world, people that are listening right now, which we love our global audience, like in Germany, for example, like people like, what are you talking about? To change people's jobs and things like that, often you have to go through like basically a union representative to make like policy changes and things in the workplace. And a lot of employers hear these things or hear the U word and they're like, oh God. But really what that is a formalized way of having a conversation that is needed in any workplace. And so I'll say this, in the US, from like a legal perspective, often you can do absolutely so much. You can change people's jobs. You can do all of that. The question is, what's going to happen if and when you do? And how is that going to impact that person and your whole teams and their productivity and all of these? That even if you have the right to do something, just because you do, should you actually do it? And that second part, I think, is not asked enough.
I've spent a lot of my career in startups where they might think that this is the role, so we created a job description. We got that at least, but this is what we thought we needed at the time. And then it's evolved, and it might have evolved. And I'm even talking about my own role. Like it could evolve 4 or 5 times in the period of, a couple of years, because you might be growing bigger and then you're hiring people and your role's changing and their role's changing because you're getting things off you and you might be adding things onto you and maybe there's new needs. And so I think for me, I've always kind of been like roll up your sleeves kind of girl, and I'll do whatever I need to do. And I'm like, nothing's below me, but I have had those conversations with employees where they're like, well, that's not in my job description, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, see that very last line on the bottom, other duties as assigned. Sorry. And I get it, and I do understand like some employees feeling like, they didn't go to school for this long. Like I used to always joke, like I didn't bust my ass through college and have student loans to make pretty posters for like employee free lunch. But also I didn't have to do real work. Like I got to enjoy creating and doing art. And that was fun for me. And that was like my 30 minutes break from this shithole job. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, I think, as long as you're effectively communicating as a leader to your staff and to your team, which, that in and of itself is a challenge, right? But as long as you're effectively communicating and you have good rapport with your team, small shifts in their job shouldn't be a surprise to them.
Do you feel overwhelmed when it comes to makeup? Charlotte Tilbury has bottled 30 years of artistry into easy to choose, easy to use beauty products. You can't go wrong. They are flattering for everyone, everywhere. That's the reason why she is the queen of glow. Her rigorous standards ensure that every product is designed and formulated for performance like nothing else on the market. From red carpets to influencers' bathrooms, her legendary icons have gone viral for making everyone look and feel like the most beautiful, confident version of themselves. Charlotte Tilbury is performance you can trust. It's legendary for a reason. You can use code CTPodcast15 for 15% off on charlottetilbury.com. Plus, new account holders get free delivery. This ad is brought to you by Charlotte Tilbury USA customers only and valid until March 2nd, 2025. For full T&Cs and exclusions, see the Charlotte Tilbury website.
February is here, and it is the month of love and the perfect time to focus on feeling good without the buzz, or maybe with the buzz. If you're staying sober or just want to add some balance to your day, Via has the perfect solution. Trusted by over 500,000 customers, Via's collection of THC-free products is packed with minor cannabinoids like CBD, CBG, and CBN, plus botanical adaptogens, all designed for targeted effects you can truly feel. No highs, no hangovers, just clean, natural relief that helps you stay sharp, calm, and in control. Whether it's for stress, sleep, or a little extra focus, Via gives you the benefits of CBD without slowing you down. And the best part, Via legally ships to nearly all states in the US in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee. No medical card required. My personal favorite in this month of love is High Love. Highly suggest. So if you're 21 and up, head to viahemp.com and use code BESTIES to receive 15% off. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. That's Via, VIIA, hemp, HEMP.com, and use code BESTIES at checkout. After your purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please tell them that the Besties sent you. Enhance your everyday with Via.
Well, there you go. There's the should word again, right?
Yep.
You should be communicating.
Yep.
That shouldn't be a surprise. But, well, 9 times out of 10, things just get thrown over the fence, And I've had the employees come to me, hey, this isn't in my job description. Hey, we're able to do this and here's why, blah, blah, blah. Where I would see a big issue with it is when a leader would tack on like multiple jobs, right? Like in lieu of backfilling somebody.
Yep.
Like there they go. They toss like that job onto somebody else, and it really on paper would reclassify the job as a higher level, right? Like it's actually a senior level position now. And you haven't posted it. You've changed the job by more than 20%. You've done this, that, and the other, which a lot of times was the threshold, right? We'd kind of evaluate it. They'd never communicate to HR. They just throw it on the employee. The employee was doing it a year. Then performance management comes around. They get a meets, right? Or whatever. They get the middle, and then someone's pissed. That's how, oh man, like rinse and repeat, right? That's how it always comes up everywhere, right? And so when it becomes exploitative like that, what do you do as an employee? Like, has that happened to you all? What did you all do?
Oh my God.
Yes,
Yes. And I've had,
yes.
and sometimes I've had situations when going in, and honestly, this probably is another episode as well, about when sometimes it's worth taking on more because you're doing that and that's going to pay off on your resume.
Exposure,
and you don't have a realistic
development.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And just realistically, like just a couple weeks ago, like Eugenia Jordan, who's a friend I've made for a couple of years, she's a chief marketing officer. She had she's had a lot of great content. She'd gotten laid off from her job. You might see her on LinkedIn, so that name may be familiar. She's a good friend. But she had posted recently about like toxic environments or when people are doing these things to you. So often you hear people that are like, quit. Well, the reality is a lot of those people who are getting more dumped on don't have a realistic option, or it's going to create incredible amount of financial and other stress to just quit. You're like, I don't have the opportunity to do that. And so sometimes it's deciding like, how can you advocate and what can you take on, and how is that going to be, what's going to become a bullet point on your resume that you're like, fine, you know what, F it. Like, I'm going to do this. But a lot of it is framing. Your boss probably isn't thinking about things. I mean, I can't tell you how many leaders have had like, oh, this person's leaving. We're gonna have this person absorb their job duties. Like, you are just a sponge of energy, time, and capacity, and no complaints in that sponge. Just like a yes, or we'll do that, and we'll give them $5,000 in addition to take on two people's jobs, and you're like. I just think to the extent you can to vocalize anytime you're giving that, again, that's like a whole other episode, but like upward feedback or things trying to influence decisions being made at organizational chart levels above you, is trying to meet people where they are and saying, I want to be here. I want to build a career, but it has to be sustainable. And I'm worried if I'm just taking these things on, what does that realistically look like? Because I don't want to be burning out in a few weeks' time, but that's not good for you. That's not good for anybody. And they'll probably care more about that's not good for you, meaning me as a leader. And so trying to vocalize what you can, but also then deciding, okay, what am I going to take from this, and being able to flex into my LinkedIn and my resume and leverage this so I get the next opportunity where I not only do this, but also get appropriately titled and compensated for it.
Yeah. And like you asked what we've done, like I've point blank asked for a raise. And so it might not be right away. It might be I have been documenting everything that I've done since so-and-so left maybe, or all the jobs that have now fallen under me, or the task, I should say. And then I go and I have legitimate documentation, or maybe metrics. Maybe, this has increased X amount. In HR, that's not necessarily always an easy thing to point out because it's not like sales. But, I've done all this, and I would like a raise. And just point blank asking. And I'll be honest, I've been successful and I've gotten what I deserved, but I've also gotten okay, well, here's $3,000 to kind of shut you up, even though I was taking on a full other FTE. Like, I'm literally doing two people's jobs. So, and then that's when I go, okay, I'm going to do this for 6 months and I'm going to add the experience to my resume. And when I go to look for another job and they ask me why I'm leaving, I'm going to say why. Now, obviously, same thing. I roll that shit in sugar. I don't say I'm leaving because those fuckers only gave me, $3,000 for doing two people's job. But I'm going to say, this person left. I took on their job and I've been functioning in that role. Unfortunately, there's no room for growth or to further my career in the company. Roll that shit in sugar. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult, and it's definitely something where I've experienced that a couple of times. But I think also being in HR, being the voice and the mouth for if you see that within your company, speaking up and saying, okay, there's some inequity here. We need to bump this person up. Oh, they're taking on a team now. They're going to have 5 direct reports when they had none before. Yeah, this is because now we're rolling into their job's going to be managing people and time cards maybe, or, whatever. Like, this is now their job has completely changed. So what can we do to look at their job and give them the proper salary change, or updating their job description, not just their job title? Because a lot of times they like to just slap a new job title and be like, oh, we added and something to your job title.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm totally aligned with you all. It's very important, especially if there's a change you do not like, to vocalize that. Again, it doesn't have to be contentious or anything, but to make it be known, and doing it really through questions. That's what I do, right? So this has happened to me before. And my first question is, how long do you anticipate this absorption of new roles and responsibilities to last? When will you be backfilling that other job, right? Does this come with any sort of increase? Because it should, because you're asking me to do a higher level job, even if it's temporary. Can you do a monthly bonus if you can't make it official in the books right now? But all of that just shows that you're someone that really can't be screwed with in a way, right? You can't be exploited. You have boundaries. The other thing that I do is I say, oh, okay, well, yeah, no, I can take that on, but we need to then reprioritize what I am currently doing. What is actually important? I need to throw my goals out. We need to establish some new ones for the remainder of the year, right? Or, help me understand what is of highest priority to do, because I will not and cannot do it all. Right. So yes, to adding this, wow, I'm a team player. Fantastic. But then, okay, what comes off my plate?
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's like the yes and.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's rare. I'd never say no. It's always like, yes, maybe, but a but. And like you were saying, yes. And okay, then let's reprioritize, all my roles and responsibilities here. So I understand what's important to you, leader. And so that I can achieve and accomplish for you and our success as a team and business. Totally on board with that. That's great. But what's no longer necessary then? And we can take off so I can focus on this important stuff you really need me to do now. Right. So it is rare that I've ever just taken something on that's been tossed to me. It's always like lots of questions, like how long, and now what, and then what, and then how, with them, what's in it for me? I know what's in it for you, boss. You're trying to kiss some ass. Like, I know the politics here, right? But you're trying to save money by using me, So definitely, a recommended path forward is just having those conversations, making it known, and then memorializing that shit through email afterwards, documenting that in some way, you know?
This is Ashley. In my business, Manager Method provides manager training to organizations. But did you know that when I first started, I was selling employment document templates to businesses? Now, like a lot of people, I worked in corporate for years and had these ideas in my head, but had no idea how to actually start a business until I found Shopify. So with Shopify, I was able to use it so I could have a website and people could go to it, see the template they wanted, buy it, and download it. Simple, right? Well, Shopify made it simple because, again, I had no idea what I was doing. But I remember the way I felt the first time somebody purchased one of those templates and I got a notification. Now, if you've had an idea in your head, I often tell people it can be a great place to start. Now, whether you're just starting out or you already have a business, upgrade your business and get the same checkout that I've used with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/HRBesties. It's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/HRBesties to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/HRBesties. Stop doom scrolling and start dream scrolling. I just got back from a vacation, and that means that I envision my life there. But I don't just think about it. Like, I pretend I'm going to live there and look up real homes on the Redfin app. As it turns out, I'm not going to be buying a beautiful ski-in, ski-out house in Colorado. But it's fun to play as a game. I'll challenge my friends. If you won $100 million in the lottery, what would you buy? And get out the Redfin app. But you can actually use it for a game or for your real searches when you're looking for your next place. I actually do call it dream scrolling, and you can call it home scrolling or whatever. But whether you're looking to buy or rent your next place, you need the Redfin app. Redfin makes it fun to search all the homes and apartments in your neighborhood. And if you find a place you love, Redfin makes it easy to go see it in person. Just schedule a tour right from the app. Plus, if you're looking to sell, Redfin agents know how to get you the best price possible because they close twice as many deals as other agents. And with a listing fee as low as 1%, Redfin's fees are half of what others often charge. So whether you're looking to buy, rent, or sell, download the Redfin app to get started.
What else have you all done?
What I would just generally recommend is if you're hearing this and you're like, oh God, okay, let me go back and write that down. Like, you can always re-listen.
Please.
Hopefully that helps us in our analytics. I have no idea. But if you're hearing this and you're like, okay, but this is my situation and I'm having something like, 5 days back in the week back, in the office and in these things, or like people have left, we have a hiring freeze. And so our existing team is taking on everything. How do I have that conversation with my boss? How do I phrase that? And what are they thinking about? And we talk all the time about using things like a ChatGPT, and again, not following your organization's policies, but also never putting in, specific information. But for some of these general things, it can help you to give you some of those prompts. If you're having trouble thinking about those, that's totally normal. Like, we have a lot of experience having these conversations, helping other people have these conversations. And so to help yourself, one of those, free development tools can be going to and doing a prompt of like, what are questions I should, if you see something coming, or if your manager has presented something to you and you're like, let me think on that. You don't have to be like, let me go listen to that HR Besties episode, or let me go ask ChatGPT. Yes. But if you go and ask for a prompt of, what are the questions I should be asking my manager of things that they're going to care about? How can I make it more likely that they understand where I'm coming from? And we can, I can still keep my job. Like but sometimes those can be helpful if you're having trouble thinking about how to do that.
That's a really good suggestion. Help me talk to my leader, please.
Yeah. Can you just, that will probably be like, by the time this episode comes out, they'll be like, new thing. We will just have all conversations at work forward. You'll never speak to anybody again. Like, okay,
exactly.
Pluses and minuses. Okay.
Right. Oh gosh. Well, shall we transition to some questions and comments, ladies? What do we got? Anything?
I got a quick comment. I would just say, don't be afraid to ask questions if your role is changing or they're asking to take on new information. That's okay. And document the fuck out of shit. Like, it's not just HR's job to document. Like, I always suggest for employees to document their own stuff, whether it's just a running Word document you keep or you're sending emails to yourself, document it. You know, Greg approached me on January, whatever, about this role, you know, like seriously. And this is what I asked him. And, you know, like, don't be afraid to do it, because ultimately it's your well-being that's going, and you're possibly even your mental health. If you're like, you know, stressed out working 2 jobs, it's ultimately going to be your life on the line. And that sounds very dramatic. And I don't mean it for it to sound dramatic, but you know, this is your livelihood and your well-being. So ask the questions. Don't be scared to ask the questions.
Yeah. Not a question from me, but a comment. And it's, you know, it's similar to what Jamie was sharing. You are your best advocate. No one's going to look out for you the way you do. And it is a major red flag if you do bring up questions and concerns and your manager does not care. Right? You may not be in a place that fits you because it doesn't respect you. And so it is totally okay to then start drafting that exit strategy to get out of there. Like Ashley was mentioning earlier, you can't just up and quit a lot of times. The majority of us don't have that privilege, right? We need those bennies, you know, and that healthcare and all those other things. But it is totally okay to be like, you know what, this is eye-opening for me. I'm going to be introspective. Instead of leaning into my work, I'm going to lean out just a little bit to take some time for me, establish some boundaries, and maybe get the hell out of here in a strategic way. That works for me because I'm going to prioritize me since they're not going to. So just something to think about.
I love that. And as a manager, when your employees are asking questions when they have changes, you may be pressed for time. You may be frustrated because you may be having corporate or other organizational dictates that you don't want to enforce, and you're having to, and that can feel awful. And when people have questions about it, you may be like, oh, but that shows that they're investing. Again, when they're asking questions about it, they're investing in it. And it's really personal to people. It's really personal. I have one comment, and I know we talked a lot about should, like the should word, like should. And it reminded me of something I've been thinking about for weeks, and I have meant to text you all, and I'm glad I haven't because now I can say it on air, is, you know, like people say like a she shed? Like
Yeah.
a she shed in your backyard, like have a she shed. I have a friend, Marta, who had a she shed. It was beautiful. I want a shed. Like like a shed in the backyard or otherwise, but is just a quiet room. And so when everything's going loud and things are going on, you can go and have peace. And so I want to start. I'm going to have to buy the domain before this goes to air. I don't know how many H's are in shit. I'll have to buy a few. That's fine. I have a lot of domains. But I am going to start a trend called a shed.
Got it.
Shed. A shed.
It's just a quiet space.
Shed. So that's it.
I would love that.
Okay. You can come up. You can't come with me. You will take turns.
No,
But you can sit in there, but you have to be quiet. Which that's fine. Okay. I'll sit in peace. But people can only come in if they agree to be quiet in there.
We should have those in the workplace.
Shed.
Those pods, but it's for quiet mindfulness.
See, this is that's what I'm saying, right?
Okay, there you go. Let's put that
Can you
together.
see it? Speaking of word Shark Tank, thank you.
Right.
How much have you sold? A gazillion. Brilliant idea. How's nobody thought about this? I don't know. I haven't Googled. I'm going to look that up after this episode to see if anybody else has. And I'll be sad if they did because I thought of it independently.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we may have gotten off track. So should we put a pin in it?
Put a pin in this shit.
Put a pin in the shit. Pins allowed, words not.
Put a pin in this shit.